I'm just doing it I just got out of the shower. I have to go to a shoot after this, so like I have to go get makeup done later.
That's right.
So
You
it's
look
like
amazing.
all this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ethan McKinley, and we are, of course, live. Well, by the time you're hearing this, it won't be live. It's pre-recorded, but I'm live talking to her right now. It's SYRE. She's a porn star. She's a stand-up comedian. She's the presenter and co-creator of Boss Bitches of History on YouTube, and she hosts the weekly podcast Observations, which is on, oh my God, there we go, iTunes. I've adjusted my mic. Now it works. This is amazing.
It's on Spotify. Can I eat my soup? Or I'll just go like this off camera. I'm trying to eat. I have to go to a shoot, so I'm like trying to eat and then be ready and be here because I know it's midnight for you.
It's right. It is midnight for me.
Yeah.
You know? Well, how much time do you have? What do you want to do? Half an hour?
I like to give people like an hour just in case.
Just in case you're interesting.
No, yeah. I mean, I am a fascinating woman.
Well, you came highly recommended to me by Mark Ebner because I saw he did an episode on porn for his podcast, The Grey Zone. Mark Ebner, of course, is this amazing, brilliant investigative journalist. He broke the lid on Cosby back in the day, I think way before Hannibal Buress, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's gone after Scientology. He's got some great stories. I recently did a podcast with him about Stan Lee, and I went, who's this chick, Sovereign SYRE? I went, just get her on your show. She was amazing. So you came highly recommended. And then I looked you up, and you've performed comedy in some of the places I have to greater success. Yeah. I think.
Yeah,
I think if we'd met maybe a few years ago, we could have helped each other because I was having such, I guess, trouble in Los Angeles. I applied for 109 jobs on Craigslist. One of them was to work on a porn shoot as a runner. And no one was interested in me because I didn't have a visa. And I literally walked the length of Sunset Boulevard, went in every bar and club. The last place I went into was the Comedy Store, spoke to Adam, and he said, we can't offer you a job because you're British and we'll get shut down and fined $1 million bazillion. But you seem weird and quirky. Why don't you do the potluck stand-up comedy hosted by Willie Hunter? And I started doing that really.
I had Willie on my show. Yeah.
Where else? Laugh Factory, all of them really. But then I had to leave. And when I got back to England, Sovereign, it's kind of different over here. You have to kind of be an established star before any club will put you on, and they don't really do an open mic, which I thought was quite weird and shocking. Yeah.
Because I have a couple friends that were in England. I mean, I have some English friends that are in entertainment there, but they're not really stand-up comedians. They're I'm friends with Matt Berry, but he does comedy, but he's not really like a stand-up comedian. Yeah. And so they don't have a lot of insight into that sort of stuff. But I've had a few friends that are American that had spent time in England doing stand-up, and they all have told me, you have to go over there because your stuff is so cerebral. The audience will just appreciate it so much more. And you get stronger faster because you get a lot more real stage time, and you can do an hour like every night, Monday through Friday if you want to get in your car and just like put around. So I'm trying to get over there like in March. Like I figure like 9 months is a good lead time. Yeah, like March next year. So
she plans ahead, everybody.
But I mean, I kind of am at an advantage. The thing about porn is they always say it puts you at a disadvantage, and that's very true. There's a lot of stuff that does close a lot of doors for you. Absolutely. I can't go get a normal agent, because no one would cast me in a movie. How do you promote it? You know what I mean? Because the minute a kid types in Sovereign SYRE, it's like I couldn't even go on late night TV to do a stand-up set because the minute you put my name in. I think
in this day and age now, you've got people transitioning. I mean, I'm thinking of Tracy Lords, of course. She's probably the only one I can think of. But in this world that we live in now, where a kid can literally type in "man having sex with a horse" and see it on his phone, age 14 probably, or a girl. I'm an equal opportunities, not seeing the right things on the internet as a child person. Right. But yeah, is it not more of an accepted thing now? I mean, I imagine for you as
it is and it isn't. You know what I mean? It's for the people that are going to have a problem with it. They're going to have a problem with it no matter what, you know. And I mean, attitudes have definitely relaxed. I think Stormy Daniels has created this situation in which even super conservative people, if they want to support Trump, now have to kind of act like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it has to not be a big deal in order for Stormy Daniels to not be a big deal. And my take on that also is like, they got to stop talking about him paying for sex workers, because that's going to make me like him more. You know what I mean? Like I wish people.
Well, it's not just that. It's just kind of, it's going after him on things that you can't really touch him on. Of course, he's a billionaire. Of course, billionaires like have liaisons dangereux with either porn stars or obviously paid escorts and stuff.
I mean, men that have access to variety will use it. Like that's, and I think it's just human nature.
I've dated an escort, and I've got no money, so what was she doing slumming it?
Well, we all need love, and can't buy love.
You can't, but I don't think they're going to be able to nail Donald on the Stormy thing, and I think, I mean, like,
stand-up here has been so far. So I've performed at the Stand, the Comedy Store, the Ice House, the Laugh Factory,
Flappers,
like everywhere, and people have been pretty accepting, and part of that is in part because of the girl I tour with sometimes, Aaliyah Janine.
Mm-hmm.
She retired from porn 4 years ago. She started 4 years ago, took it very seriously, and so she kind of paved the way a little bit in New York because people take her seriously.
Yeah,
and so she kind of proved that, like, no, we are normal people, and we're just as capable of being funny. And I mean, there can be, like, here in Los Angeles among the crowd that's not quite made it. Because, like, Mark Maron is someone that has taken me under wing and given me plenty of I just was featuring for him, you know, like he just kind of was like, you can do this, and threw me out there. But in people that are still trying to get up to that level, there can be some judgment, and it's just weird because it's like driving Uber doesn't make you more qualified to do comedy than doing porn. Like, the idea that I wouldn't have a greater insight into humanity from my job.
You have more greater stories. And also, I think as a comedian, there's more leeway to have led a crazier life, I think, like Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks. I mean, who do you want to, like, Richard Pryor? Anyone.
But they were men. But they were men. And see, like, society is, like, kind of willing to let men be drug addicts and sluts, and that's fine. But, like, if women are partiers and slutty, like, it's a little hard. It's a little more difficult. Amy Schumer and Sarah Silverman kind of, but even they, like, they can't be like a Sam Kinison. They can't just be unrepentantly slutty or unrepentant partiers. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, even their humor has to be like, oh, I'm slutty, huh? It can't be like, yeah, I'm a fucking dick pig. They can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, so even a slutty comic has to kind of be tongue in cheek about it. She can't be like, yeah, I love to suck dick. That's what I'm about. Anyway, so moving on. Like, she can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be a joke in it. Sam Kinison could be like, I love to eat pussy. Moving on. Like, he doesn't have to, like,
well, I think it just takes one woman to kind of break that. I thought Sarah Silverman, well, back in the day, she was quite brutal and almost had a male type act. Has her stuff changed in her, like, old age, if you will? Sorry, Sarah. Or her older age, she still looks great.
No, she's incredible. To me, she's also one of those people that was allowed to be pretty and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she broke that barrier too. But no, like, I mean, here, like, people have been very accepting. And stand up, it's been fine. But the thing is, stand up pays, like, I just got paid to talk money to feature for Mark Maron at a local club where the club is paying me, not him. He's not taking me on the road or anything. Like, this is like at the club. Like, 2 shows that paid $70, you know, and it's like, for me to do a girl scene, I might make $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
So it's also this thing of,
can't he break you off a chunk of that what the fuck money? Come on, Maron.
well, I mean, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, those are standard rates for a club. It's like to feature for a headlining act at a local club is like $35 a show.
Yeah.
And if you're a working comedian and you can do, say, 3 of those sets a night, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like, you can eke out a living.
Sure.
And then if you go on the road, which is kind of like in porn feature dancing, if you go out on the road, those gigs pay significantly more money. If you go out on the road to feature might pay you $250 a night. Like,
sure.
It's a significantly higher thing. That's why most stand-up comedians go on the road, because, like, to make a living as a stand-up comedian in Los Angeles or New York, it's like you get paid a minimal amount of money, but I mean, you can't live on it.
Do you think it's harder than it is now for people like Maron and the people that kind of the older comedians, if you will, the generation or 2 generations back? Do you think it was easier for them, or is it just the same as it is now, basically?
I think so, just because, well,
there was less of them, maybe.
I mean, I think there's been a comedy boom, but the thing is now we have YouTube and these other ways to kind of get into the mainstream. And I guess what I was getting at is that having done porn doesn't really affect my stand-up, but stand-up is generally a way to get to like a better paying job, like a writer's room or a sitcom. And those are things that America they're not ready to have a porn star, like a sitcom around a porn star. It might be coming soon, but not yet.
What about something more like
so it's not about stand-up, but when you're trying to kind of take it further. Huh?
I was going to say, well, not a sitcom, maybe, but something that's more like a dramedy, where it's kind of more... I mean, we had something in England called The Secret Diary of a Call Girl, which was written by a girl who was a call girl while she was studying medicine. She wrote a novel and actually made, I guess, more money off that than she ever would as a doctor, and that became like a major TV series in England, basically. So I think there's always a way.
I mean, you guys are like a little bit more... like, just like the continent or whatever. It's like you guys are a little bit more... like a little less puritanical when it comes to like sexual stuff. I mean, I think like there's something about Englishness and being sort of very stiff and reserved, but at the same time, it's still very much a European sensibility of like nudity and sexuality and things like this aren't like fucking crazy. But here people act like they are. Like they really do kind of cling to this like pearl clutching kind of stuff. And so you could have a show about porn, but it would have to be serious and kind of like a tragedy. Like, you know what I mean? So I mean, that may be changing, and I'm hoping it changes, but doing stand-up porn is fine, but to try to parlay that into something greater is still a bit challenging. I have to be very careful about my online image. It's I went on hiatus for 2 years to do stand-up just to basically prove that I was serious, which meant giving up a lot of money. You know what I mean? To like not be shooting for 2 years just to prove to people, not to the audience, but to prove to other comedians that I was serious.
I've become something else now, everybody. Yeah, I've become a butterfly.
And so it's like in 2 years I did 268 shows and toured the country, like featured for Mark Maron, did spots for Big J Okerson, like performed. Like I mean, I went hard, and then I burned out a little bit, but I did that, and like now I'm back to shooting because, like, one, I mean, it's unconscionable to leave that amount of money on the table. It's
also it kind of feeds back into comedy, and also this online image that you say they're concerned about, that's out there now. So I mean, you can't change it. So...
no one's ever going to forget that you did it. Like once you do it, it's like
I think I'm kind of a unique case in that I'm not shocked or bothered by it because I know a ton of people on the fetish scene here in London and have been to those kind of clubs, and like I said, dated a call girl, so I've kind of I know a lot of checkered past people that I just see as completely normal.
English people and their fetishes is pretty intense, like the English vice. You guys all like to be spanked, right? Isn't that the thing?
Oh yeah.
Like you're all really uptight that you want to be.
Well, there's different ones. I mean, God, there's like ashtray people, isn't it? When they put ashtrays out on the hands, or the footrest people. I mean, someone took me. I used to stay on the corner of God, where was it? Where's the Rite Aid just down from the Laugh Factory? What is it? What's that road? The crisscross road. It's the crossroads of Sunset. Rite Aid is just there, and it's opposite the Laugh Factory. I used to live on the apartment building.
Is it like Laurel Canyon?
Yeah, the apartment building, basically.
Is it like Crescent Heights? Is it Crescent Heights and Sunset?
I used to live in the apartment building opposite the gas station, basically. I used to live there. So, but someone took me to a fetish club there, but it was really bizarrely, weirdly tame compared to the London one. Everyone was just kind of more in fancy dress, not really doing anything.
English people are intense. I've had a couple English boyfriends that were pretty intense. Like I'm always a little wary. I've been talking to an Englishman recently, romantically a little bit, and I'm always just like very like slow, just like I don't ask a lot of questions because I don't want the answers.
He's like, look at my dick. What's up?
Just like, so are you into hook suspension? A British guy might turn around and say that. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
at least buy her a drink first, whoever you are. Jesus.
Oh gosh, if I could tell you Tinder stories. Oh my gosh, it's pretty intense. Tinder here is like, I feel like Tinder's a place where people, like, every man, if you want a man to tell the truth, give him a mask. Tinder's where you really see like the heart of millennial sexuality, just in full bloom, just effulgent and like just. It's like sort of toxic and miasmic, but also beautiful. It's like a sweet stench, like death. You know what I mean? It just kind of like permeates. It's like a mist that just enters your life through like your telephone. You're just like, like just the intensity of people's desire to connect and their really bizarre shit.
Yeah, they want to get it done.
I mean, like, yeah, and these are people that don't know I'm an adult. Sometimes people will be like, they'll recognize me because I'll use my real name on Tinder, but sometimes they'll recognize me. But I'm sure most of them do. They just don't say it. I don't know. I guess.
Is that really? Because I mean, this just seems the most tumultuous time in American, I guess, culture and politics. Especially, I mean, you mentioned millennial sexuality, but all these colleges are like denying people like Milo and people like Jordan Peterson to speak, and also they're having this. What was that video I saw? It was on the news, and it's like gaining consent. It's like, can I put my hand on your leg? Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Can I touch your breast? Yes, you can. Can I kiss you on the neck? And it removes any kind of spontaneity or rawness or immediacy from kind of sex. Is that so? That's just not non-existent on Tinder.
People say these things, but I don't know how much that translates to real world behavior on college campuses. Like, I don't think like a campus rape center might put out
rape culture
that says rape culture is real. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's definitely there. It may not be the way people paint it, but there's definitely a precedent based misogyny and patriarchy that influences a way for view sexuality and women's role in a sexual relationship, and that men do objectify women in a lot of ways where they don't even realize they're doing it. That's real. But what I think is, like, if a rape crisis center says this is what you should do, this is like the culture of behavior that should happen, that doesn't mean that anyone's actually doing it on campus. But then the media will pick that up and be like, see what they're trying to do. And it's like, no, the rape counseling center is going, in an ideal world, this is like, because boys will act stupid. I don't know what consent looks like. So the rape crisis counselor center goes, okay, if you're dumb, here's what consent looks like, because you said you were too stupid to figure it out. We wrote it out for you. So here you go. That's for the retards, not retards. I mean, retard in the colloquial sense.
It's fine. Retard means slow, ladies and gentlemen. That's another thing with...
This is for people that are socially behind.
Inept.
So when these rules come out, like, ask her this, ask her that, that's for all the dudes that walk in and go like, well, how do I know if she wants it or not? And the rape crisis counselor goes, okay, ask her. Like, if you don't, and that's the thing is where it gets confused, is they're not saying you have to do this. They're saying, if you don't know, ask.
What if she's a really sub kind of girl? She wants to be like taken and told what to do.
Well, a real subby girl isn't going to accuse you of rape later either.
This is true.
You know what I mean? Like if she's really subby and she's into it, that's also not the girl that's going to like turn around and be like, oh my God, I hated that.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? But it's also this thing of this desire to sanitize sex on all sides. You know, being a sex worker, I'm not really liberal or conservative, because on both sides, like, sex workers kind of become like for the mill. Well, it's being grist for the mill. Like right now, it's Kamala Harris. Like, we're going to stop sex trafficking with this law that's essentially just going to go in and affect your right to freedom of speech.
Sure.
Fosta and Sesta. And okay, like, the biggest thing a sex worker can put between a client for her safety is time and scrutiny. And the easiest way to do this is by being able to advertise online and talk with other girls that advertise online and make sure that clients are safe. Like, it also makes it easier to find traffickers, because if traffickers use the site to sell their victims, at least people are seeing these victims, and it's like increases the chances that someone's going to see something's going on and they're going to fix it. Whereas, like, if you take away the ability, like, the law, it basically changed the law that said that people that run sites like eros.com, like, are now responsible for everything that gets posted on there. So if someone's attempting prostitution, but they conflate prostitution with sex trafficking. Prostitution is consensual sex work in which two people have come together and made an agreement to exchange in commercial sex.
Sure.
Trafficking is when someone is an unwilling victim. Like, but they conflate these two things. Like, if they're promoting prostitution, well, prostitution is not sex trafficking. They're not the same thing.
No.
And so the law passed. Now, that was a little liberal. Conservatives will come around and be like, all women should be, brood mares. They shouldn't be able to get abortions. They should be left to be economically dependent on men by being forced to bear children and all this kind of, and taken out of the labor force and all this kind of stuff. They shouldn't have access to birth control. They definitely shouldn't make money from sexual exchanges. Like, on both sides, sex workers are sitting in the middle going, fuck y'all. Like neither one of you guys gives a fuck about, like, the human cost in the middle, which is people engaging in a commercial activity that it's the oldest profession in the world.
Do you think
you know what I mean? Like, there will never not be a demand for sex.
Yeah. Do you think it's still this puritanical hangover you're still suffering from in the States, maybe?
I think it's capitalism.
Because I know lots of people in London that do this, of course, at the higher end, like escorts where they get paid thousands of dollars and sleep with like a Saudi prince or someone. But it all has to be kind of. I guess it's done more underground in America, right? Whereas here, we've got apps like oh God, what is it?
Well, isn't it legal? Isn't prostitution legal?
No, it's illegal. But I think you've got these things like sugardaddies.com. Yeah, there's like an app called sugardaddies.com, which I know a few people use in like London and stuff, and they will meet obviously wealthy men, and whether it's an exchange of gifts or whatnot, there's some kind of transfer between the man and the woman, so they both get what they want in some sense. But
I have a lot of actress friends, mainstream actress friends that they support this like arrangement and sugar babies and stuff like that. Yeah. That's how they make their living, So, I mean, and that's my thing is be concerned about like these. I think it's capitalism because I think that gendered and racial labor, like you have to devalue it because in order for capitalism to work, someone has to get fucked over. Like someone has to work for little to wages. Someone has to work in an environment in which there are no protections because protections are expensive and socialism is expensive. Democratic socialism, so. In order for capitalism to work, you have to devalue certain types of labor. Yeah. So that the ones that's really devalued is gender labor, childcare, emotional labor, sex work. Like, do you devalue these things? You say they're not worth anything, even though porn is a $1 billion industry, and my friends that are escorts are making upwards of $1 million a year. Sure. So for something that's not in demand and that's not valuable, people certainly pay a lot of fucking money for it.
Would you not make more money as an escort versus being in porn? Because I mean, porn now, I can go online anywhere, like Pornhub for example, and just watch porn for free. How do they make money anymore as a performer?
Well, I mean, you still make money. Most performers also escort. On the side, you can charge a lot more money for escorting services if you're a porn star because the guy gets to live out sort of a porn star fantasy.
Sure.
So there's definitely like a circuit. There's definitely a market of doing scenes and then putting ads up on Eros, getting clients. But even my friends that do that, even that market is now impacted. And that market, it's impacted by girls that are going on seeking arrangement. That will perform all of the services for like a Louis Vuitton bag, and so that's cutting into. So it's kind of interesting, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't know that you can make more money. I think that just like anything else, I think people find the kind of labor they're comfortable doing, and works for them. I have a friend that's she would never, like if she was to go out and try to make that same income escorting, is that money out there to get from clients from tricks? Yes. But would she be good at it? Would it be good for her? No. You know what I mean? Like she's able to live out in the country in like Minnesota and live on a farm and like have the life that she wants, and she can cam remotely and she's good at camming. And so she's able to make this huge amount of income. I'm horrible at camming. I've tried to do it because I've been hired by companies because I'm a porn star just to drive traffic to the site. And all I had to do was sit on cam like 2 hours a day, once a week for like $600-800. And I was like, I after like 2 times of doing it, I was like, I hate this. I can't do it. Is
that because there's no, it's just the computer you're staring at, isn't it? This little green dot where I guess the lens is on the laptop where the camera is, and you're not getting anything back apart from these little comments.
Well, I
suppose as a comic, you're used to having like an audience that reacts to you, and if you're like camming, it's you're just staring at nothing essentially, aren't you?
Well, is that like I don't like to interact with the client. You know what I mean? Like I do porn because I'm very good at going in and performing with someone that I think is attractive. Like I pick all my co-stars, so it's like I go in, I work with people that I'm actually attracted to. I get sex out of get paid.
Hello,
guys.
Oh,
you're fat. You're this. You're that. It's like, and you're getting a lot of compliments, but you're also getting like harangued with like other stuff and like people begging you to like show me your tits or do this, and they're not paying. Like they want everything for free, and it's like in that environment, I just immediately become a bitch. You know what I mean? I'm just immediately like go like I'm not a good cam girl. Like, just like I wouldn't have been a good stripper. You know, like strippers are very good at a very specific kind of thing. They're good at this, a one-on-one interpersonal exchange. And I'm like a Virgo. I'm a mathematician. I'm like, I want to go in, I want to do my job, I want to get my money, and I want to leave. Like,
professional.
That's what I want to do. You know, like I don't want to create a false friendship with you. I don't want to intimacy. Don't pay me enough, because that emotional labor is fucking valuable and people can't afford it. And that's why I try to tell girls that do sugar babying. I'm like, you're picking the hardest form of sex work, because you have to spend your whole time convincing that wrinkled old gross dude that you actually find him interesting and sexy.
Yeah.
That's a full-time fucking job. And that guy is going to be so needy. He's going to be texting you all day long, all night long, all the time. He's going to give you less and less money and want more and more for it. Porn, I get the same rate. That's the same rate that I've had for 7 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that never changes. I never have to finagle with the director. And directors aren't texting me in the middle of the night like, hey, what are you doing? No. I get, hey, are you free this day? I have a job for you. Cool. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, who do you want to work with? Who's available? Cool. You know what I mean? Like, I like porn because it's good for me. Escorting for me is like, one, it's illegal. It's just like it's just a place that I'm not willing to go.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to end up in jail. Like, I don't, you know, it's not. And then two, just, you know, you never know what you're going to get. The process of screening clients, the anxiety of wondering if you're going to be safe, it's just too much for me. Like, that level of anxiety is just not worth whatever you're going to get out of it. But that's me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a risk taker.
What led you into porn? Why did you decide to do that? Or is that a bad question?
No.
Well, you seem like so practical about it, don't you? You don't seem damaged. You seem very upfront and forward. You're a comedian as well. What was the big pull about doing it?
I left school. I got a graduate degree in creative writing, and I left school, but it was like, there was no work as a writer except for freelance stuff. It's like all the papers and magazines had shut down, you know, so everything was online.
Yeah.
And if anyone listening has been a freelancer, it's just like, they pay no money for these 1,200 word articles for like $50.
It's just the prestige of writing for the publication, isn't it now? And then they can get away with paying you less.
Paychecks. Yeah, if they pay you, or they just don't pay you, but they've already put the content online. So and there's no recourse for you. It's not like there's a fucking union. They're trying to get a freelancer's union, but like, so I came into this market that was incredibly depressed. There was just no market for my skills. I had been an ESL tutor. I taught English 1 at university when I was in grad school. And I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. Like, it was just soul sucking. Like, I couldn't do it. So I knew I didn't want to do that. So I leave school. There's nothing going on. And I decided to start writing a novel I'd read Discipline and Punish, and there was like a footnote to a footnote about this guy, Dea Kione, that was like the last guy publicly executed. And I went down this rabbit hole and just found his life story interesting. I was like, I'm going to write a novel. I'm going to write the story of this guy's life. And it took place in France. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to go see like Brittany and the Vendée and all this stuff and see where all these things happened. I'll generate some money and I'll go like on a backpacking trip. That's a thing people do when they leave college. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was that. And I talked to a few people and they're like, well, you're really pretty. And someone had offered to shoot me for Playboy when I was like just out of high school, or no, I was a sophomore in college. So I was 18. Someone had approached me and been like, will you shoot you for Playboy? And I was like, no, I'll do it on my own. I don't need that. Which is ironic now. But, so a couple of friends were like, you should be a suicide girl. You should be a God's girl. Like, they pay these money for photo sets and you can make the money in a couple months and you can just take naked photos or let them take naked pictures of you. And then you can go backpack around Europe. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So I submitted photos, just like took them, a friend like came over, just like took a bunch of pictures of me, like in my bathroom naked, sent them in, and God's girls and suicide girls both wrote back to me the same day. Like, yeah, we want you. And, suicide girls at the time had a really draconian contract. Like, they had a bigger platform, like they could make you a star and they paid better, but like, they owned your name and everything else. So it was kind of, and God's Girls is a smaller site, but you had more freedom. So I went with God's Girls because I just wanted to make a little bit of cash. I didn't want to be locked into a fucking contract.
Sure.
And one of their staff photographers saw my pictures, fell in love I was in LA, I was in California, he was in New York, but he over there and I never came home. We just like fell in love and I moved in with him. And then I started modeling all over New York City. I was like working as a model. Was shot by the first person to shoot me was this guy, George Pitts, Vibe magazine. And like through him, it's like I ended up shooting with all these American master photographers. And I made like a little video for Josh, that was the photographer. And I put it on before Pornhub was Pornhub. And it's like before I knew about porn sharing or anything like that. And like 3 days later, a friend of mine called me and he was like, dude, you're on the front page of Fleshbot and Pornhub and all these things. I was like, what are you talking about? And I guess Fleshbot had a bunch of people, like the video has over like 3 million views now, or 4 or 5 million. It's like someone had seen it and they're like, and they did a write-up on it for Fleshbot. And like, we found this video on Pornhub or PornTube or whatever. And they're like, XTube, I think. Like, we can't figure out if it's art or porn. Like, we can't figure it out. But like, we're obsessed with this girl. And I wrote and I was like, that's me. And like, I guess that's when I knew I was going to do porn, because instead of being horrified, I was like, oh my God, they loved it. Like, they thought it was art. Oh my God.
Fuck journalism. Let's do porn.
Well, I was just like, this is so funny. I just turned to Josh. I was like, this is so funny. Like we made something artful, and it's like blowing their minds that like you could make something artful and pornographic. And so from that, like I kind of got on the radar a bunch of these porn companies, and a woman named Nika Noel, who's a feminist porn director that did like girl stuff. She hit me up on Twitter and she was like, are you the same girl in the picture and in your avatar? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, the one that's talking about Foucault? And I was like, yeah, that's me. I'm the one that's not, like, she thought it might be like a catfish. I was like, that's me. And she's like, I want to write a movie around you. I'll give you like $4,000, fly you out to LA, like all this stuff. And everything I've tried in life has been like a challenge. And like, this is something I'm not even trying at, and it's like working. So I flew out to LA. I thought I was going to do one movie, finally make my money to go travel to Europe. And I ended up being in the business for the next 4.5 years. I was a girl only performer, got AVN Award nominated, and like had a career, and then started doing Boy Girl. I started doing a bunch of movies with Dana Vespoli that were very controversial. They were like very BDSM-y and like really intense.
Do you have a kind of because you say this, what's feminist porn? And what do you kind of, is that just kind of more gentle? Where I don't know.
No, I think I think to me now, feminist porn is just porn that is made for women, or that is like accounting for women's, like that women are watching it.
Right.
Like Dana Vespoli does feminist. We made a feminist porn movie together called Hollywood Babylon that reviewers said was so intense they couldn't watch it. Like, but women would write me and be like, oh my God, I fucking loved it. The scene where James Dean is raping you. And I was like, yep. Like, because it's a movie for women. Like, it was because it was about someone going to Hollywood to be a star and like just getting chewed up by a machine.
Yeah.
Like we did it on purpose. We kind of fucked with people because we knew that so the average porn career is like, I don't know, 18 months. I've been in, this will be almost 7 years now.
Right.
If the 2 years I just took off, like I just came back in,
sure.
Like that was the first time back in 2 years. But so an 18 months is the average. Like it's rare. Boy Girl, me and I both knew that we would get a lot of eyes on it because it was me doing Boy Girl. It was me working with men for the first time. So we just wrote something really fucked up because we knew that people would watch it. So it was like a way of like getting something really artful like in the door, like because we knew we'd at least get some eyes on it. And it was like critically praised. It's like, but people were like, I don't know if this is a porn. It's kind of more like just a movie. So that's like, I ended up in it just because I needed quick money, and it wasn't just the money. It was also like, it felt like life was just going in this one direction. And I was like, I just need to throw myself in the deep end of something and swim the fuck out to figure out like what I'm going to do with my life. You know what I mean? I think I was also just having like a quarter life crisis. I was just sort of like, okay, I spent all this time in school to do this job that doesn't really exist anymore, or at least it doesn't exist in a way that there's any kind of payoff. I don't, the practical thing I can do, go teach. Like I've already done that and I know I don't like it. And I don't know what else to fucking do. And I was like really poor in New York, which sucks because like New York is like London. It's a very like very expensive city, and it's like either you're like all the way up or you're like down, and it's like, but you're right on top of each other.
Sure.
So you're like eating ramen and beef jerky, but you're watching people in like Rolexes and Bentleys like rolling down the same street, you know, and it's just like,
and you're working your ass off just trying to make rent in a one-room apartment or one you have to share with 3 other people.
Yeah, paying $600 to be in an attic apartment I couldn't even stand all the way up in, and I was sharing it with a boyfriend, and it was like less than 100 square feet. I mean, it was just like, oh God, it was so horrible. But I'm thinking of moving to London in March, so we'll see. I'll be right back at it.
Lovely.
I'll be living in squalor.
No, I can. I'll show I'll show you some crazy places in London. You'll love it. Trust me. Well, how did it lead into to comedy then? How long have you done comedy for? And what was the kind of what lit the trigger on that? Was it just the writing, maybe? And you were like, oh.
I was always nerdy, and there's a channel called Wisecrack that had a show called Thug Notes on it that I thought was really, it was like a thug breaking down masterworks of literature with like animations. It was really funny.
Well, they've showcased some of your Boss Bitches of History's videos, haven't they? Wisecrack has put, yeah.
And so they approached me because I was really into that, and then at the same time, I this guy Richard Avery, a fashion dude, was like, "You're really smart, and that's your brand, and your Twitter's really funny, but like you need a way to brand yourself more, like for your brain. You should have a podcast, because that way people can kind of like tune in and hear you and hear how smart you are and hear how insightful and thoughtful you are." And I was like, cool. And he's like, I'll do it for you. Like, I have a studio, like just come in and we'll do a once a week thing. And he's like, you just go think about who you want to talk to.
Sure.
Because I don't think you should do it by yourself. And I went back and I was just like, well, I love comedy and I love comedians. And I thought, I'll talk to comedians about serious topics, like serious political, social issues. And I went back to Richard and he's like, great, sounds great. And so I ended up booking Greg Edwards, who was the guy that did Thug Notes character. And so I was interviewing comedians, so that was happening. And they were like, you should do stand-up, you're really funny. And then one of them, a comedian, Sarah Schaefer, was working on a pilot. And she was like, you're really funny. Do you want to pitch some ideas for this pilot show I have? It's going to be kind of like The Daily Show, but sort of feminist. Do you want to pitch some ideas? So I pitched her a bunch of ideas, and she ended up taking like 5 of them. And then they ended up like wanting to run with a couple of them. It didn't go anywhere, but like, so that happened. And then Wisecrack reached out to me on Twitter and was like, hey, we saw you're a fan of the show and we want to expand the market, and we see that you're a porn star, but you're smart. We're thinking it'd be cool to have a porn star like do a show. Like, do you know anything about art?
Sure. And
I was like, no, but I'm a huge history buff, like massive. And so I came in and we sat around, and then I pulled in my friend Ella Darling. And she's also very smart. She has like a forensic psychology degree, and she does porn, and she was a librarian, and she does porn. And now she built a virtual reality camming software, which is like now how she doesn't do porn. Very smart girl. So me and Ella got together and we're like, let's do this thing about lesser known women in history. And as a compromise, we did some more well-known women. We did like Cleopatra and Queen Isabella as a compromise. And then I got to do, I'm trying to remember who we did now. I got to do these 2 lesser known women. Like one was Marie Angelique, Joseph Angelique, who burned down Old Montreal in 1727. And then I'm trying to remember who else we did.
She did your mom's.
Actually, I podcast interviewed my dad, and it was like one of the highest rated things I ever did. People loved it. I hadn't talked to him in 15 years. Then I went and knocked on his door on Thanksgiving with a microphone and said, let's do a podcast. And like, he like cries on it. I cry on it. It was like really, people were like, oh my God, that was like the most compelling thing I ever heard. So, but anyway, so Wisecrack hit me up, and so we made the show. And so I'd written that. And at the same time I had met Mark Maron at that time. And he was just like really helpful. He was like sat me down and showed me how like, this is what a writer's room looks like, and this is how you like project an arc of a series, and just like really basic practical shit. And so he was also on a podcast. I ended up dating a guy named Baron Vaughn that was an actor and a comedian. And I was like, he's like, you should do a one-woman show and I should direct it. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like have stage fright. I'm not like that kind of performer. And then one day I was thinking about maybe doing a storytelling show, and it was like emailed like while we're at the the table. He like emailed the guy from the Risk and was like, I just got you a spot. Like, you're going to go do it. So it was like 2 weeks later, there I was. I did a storytelling show. I went over by 27 minutes, but they didn't stop me. And then from that, a friend booked me for a spot at the Comedy the next week. And then like from there, it's just like, I was like born in the doorway. Like I kind of think maybe because I'd been wanting to do it for so long, but I never told anybody because I was so embarrassed to admit that I had any ambition outside of like porn. You know what I mean? Because you get kind of used to being seen a certain way. And I was like, I don't want to be one of those porn stars that's like wants to be something else.
Sure.
Because I feel like that's like a trope, you know, like the porn star that wants to be a serious actress. I was like, I don't want to be that person. So I kept it a secret. And then,
well, Bill Burr said if you're starting comedy, you shouldn't.
Bigger and bigger things.
I was going to say, no, sorry. Bill Burr said if you're going to start comedy, don't tell anyone for at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
until you get good.
Like, I kind of kept the secret, and I just did it. I mean, I would like put it on my Twitter, but I would just be like going up, but I just did it like every day. I went up every single day for like my 99th show. I opened for Mark Maron. He hit me up and he said, "Do you want to open for me? I'm workshopping some new stuff over at the C-Bound Theater. And you can come in and do 15 minutes." And I had done 99 shows, and I was like, "Fuck, okay, like yes, like I'll." And I did it. And it was like I felt like I did horrible. And he was watching, and I was like, "Oh God, this is so humiliating." And then he had me on again about a month and a half ago, which I think was like show 268.
Right.
And I fucking nailed that shit so hard. It was so good. Like
what's the material
2 shows
about?
in a row.
And how do you write?
I have a New Zealand bit right now that I'm working on. I have a bit about New Zealand. And then I mean, I'm really heavily influenced by Stuart Lee, like really heavily. So I tend to have material that
the British guy, right? The British comedian Stuart Lee.
Stuart Lee, yeah.
Yeah.
Stuart Lee and Dylan Moran are like my two favorite. Stuart Lee, Dylan Moran, and then Maria Bamford, I think, are like my three favorite comedians.
Have they ever performed at the Store or the Ice House or any LA clubs, Stuart Lee?
Oh, Dylan Moran's the only comedian I've ever paid for, and I've paid twice to see him at the Largo. He comes through the United States like once a year.
Sure.
And the thing I love about living in LA is like suddenly, like the first show I saw in LA, it was Maria Bamford, Ian Carmel, Neil Hamburger, Eddie Pepitone, and Bert Keckner, and I paid $5 for it. And it was like all on the same bill in like the back of a comic book store. Like that's what LA's great for is like, and then Dylan Moran, like I can pay like $15 and go see him at the Largo Cornet. And it was like, I saw him, he did a show like 2 days after the election and he came out and he did 25 blistering minutes about Trump that you could tell he had written like the day before. You know what I mean? Cause it was like, it was that fresh. And I remember, and then he did this amazing show. And then I remember at the very end, he like came out and he was like, he goes, "Thank you guys. And, good luck." And it was like the saddest show ever. It's like, he said that and the whole audience was like,
just went out of the room.
Fucking crestfallen. like the good luck. Like when he said good luck, it was just like everyone in the room was like, "Oh God, it's real."
Oh,
it happened.
I was actually working for CNN the night of the election.
Huh?
I was working at an event for CNN in London. It was the CNN, obviously, news party for the election, and they were all like so convinced it was Hillary, and then just watching the numbers come in and everyone's kind of faces and attitude change throughout that party was fucking hilarious. It was
how did that feel? Like how does the UK perceive like all this stuff that's happening?
I don't know, because I mean we're not kind of over there. I know it's kind of like, oh, everyone hates him and stuff, but I don't know anymore. I mean, it's kind of what people wanted, which was this outlier that wasn't the establishment. So I don't know. I mean, he's got North Korea to talk to South Korea, but that's about it. I don't know. The only thing I get concerned with all presidents is that at some level, do they not all get, I don't know, are they not all bought and paid for on some level? It's just a different kind of bought and paid for.
Okay.
Are they all as bad as each other? I mean, Trump's just very like dunderheaded and not very, because he's not a president. He's not presidential. I mean, at least Obama as a person, as a statesman, was a spectacular dude, very intelligent, very articulate and stuff. And then this kind of almost Arnold Schwarzenegger Running Man movie character kind of comes in, and you can't quite believe that it's real.
Well, I mean, it's like in some ways, I'm like, is there anything more American than this like 6'3", 300-pound
guy
like,
with crazy hair and fake tan,
man, like with a fake tan and like this weird toupee, like
and the white, the cucumber circles around his eyes where he must.
And
do
like,
the eyes, Donald.
American, it's like a throbbing hemorrhoid with a fake tan and this weird scalp replacement transplant hair stuffed into like a $10,000 suit that doesn't fit, like this overlong tie. Like he's just huge. Like he's very American. He's like this big fucker. You know what I mean? Just like big and fat. And like coming down an escalator, not stairs, an escalator in Trump Tower.
You're
to
fake
like stand
news.
at the podium and announce his presidency. I was like, there's nothing more American than that. Like that's the most American thing I've ever seen. It's just like, you know, like with this like foreign wife that he bought, you know, and it's like that's very American. Like
I feel weirdly sorry for her because I feel weirdly sorry for Melania because this is not anything she ever wanted, and I think he only did this as a kind of dare. I remember there was that inaugural dinner with Hillary Clinton, and I think Obama said he made a joke about Trump saying you'll never be the president, and you could just see Trump kind of seething and his eyes burning into him. And I think he just did it as a gag and then went, oh, fuck, I'm actually the president. I think he was just doing it to kind of like up his brand, the Trump brand, really.
Yeah.
And he accidentally got the fucking job. What the fuck?
I mean, what it's done here, like being on the ground here, just socially, it's like so divisive. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it really is just people just stop talking to people if they're a Trump supporter. This or that. There's a comedian, Ty Rivera. He's gay and he's Mexican, and he voted for Trump, and like that almost got him ousted. Not that he ran with his tail between his legs, but like that became the first thing that you knew about Ty Rivera was that he voted for Trump. And I was like, I had him on my podcast. I was like, I don't give a shit. He's killing us. Like people who voted for Trump killed us. Like, no, they didn't. People like that sentiment, these sentiments, like what happened was you thought these liberal ideas were much more firmly entrenched than they were. And the reality is that for most people, trans people are weird. For most people, gay marriage is weird. For most people, abortion is wrong. For most
it's because you're in LA, isn't it? I think everything's
people just thought that.
Yeah, I think everything's so kind of crazy super left. It's hard to have a kind of reasoned, debate about anything over there. I guess you're not from there, so I guess you see it. Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a really country ass town, very small. I grew up watching migrant farm workers, like on my way to school. I taught English as a second language. I grew up in predominantly Mexican neighborhoods where no one spoke English. Is it pure like farm labor? Is like our San Joaquin Valley is like feeding the entire fucking country.
Yeah.
All of it's on the labor of people that are here without papers, undocumented. So I grew up like Cesar Chavez and like the labor movement got started in the San Joaquin Valley back in like the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
So I come from an area where like these issues like immigration, poverty, like all of this stuff is real. Like you touch it and you see it every day. You know what I mean? And it's like these issues are more real to people. And here's the thing is also in that community, the Hispanic community, especially like in the San Joaquin Valley, from like huge queer population, trans population, all of this stuff too. It's like, so I come from a place where like these things have like real consequences. Being gay had real consequences for people.
Sure.
Being trans had real consequences for people. Being undocumented had very real consequences for people. Immigration coming in, threatening to call INS, like ICE or whatever. Like these are things that had like real thing. I had friends that like straight A students that couldn't get into college because they were undocumented. Yeah. You know, like these are things that had like real long lasting impacts on people. So I come from that where it's a weird pocket of conservatism in California because it is farm workers and it is like Mexican Catholic and all of it. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of socially liberal policies, but also very interpersonally and philosophically very conservative, you know, because these are people that still believe in God and go to church every Sunday and you know, like believe in a certain way of life and gender norms and things like this. Like there's a lot going on out here. Like a lot of that, like in Los Angeles, I mean, that's like everything, you know, Los Angeles is where people come to kind of be like shed their identity, you know? So it's kind of like, this is a place where everyone's going to yoga studios and I'm in Highland Park and it's like, it was gentrified in the last few years. And you've got people at like these old fruit sellers that used to sell like oranges on the corner, and now they bought a juice maker. Now they make fresh juices for all the blonde like single moms in their strollers, like on their way to Pilates, you know, like you can pick up. I mean, it's crazy because I'm like 2 years ago, that guy was selling oranges to people coming off the freeway that got off the wrong exit, you know, like, and now that guy's like making smoothies like on his fucking cart, like, because you know, like it's like it's an industrious fucking population, you know. Absolutely. That like will survive no matter what.
Well, I used to live in, where was I? I used to live on Vineburn Avenue as well. It's like 2 or 3 miles past Union Station. That was quite a Mexican type area. I stuck out like a sore thumb there as a white English boy.
Yeah. But I mean, like for me, it's like Highland Park's very like Latina and like, but for me, like I have an affinity for, like, I feel like the Hispanic people in general, like, are just like very friendly and welcoming and kind of, so like when I moved to LA, like I ended up in this neighborhood because it was the first neighborhood I walked into. I was like, oh, I'm home. It was like just like being back home. I was like, oh look, there's like a tire shop, an upholstery shop, an auto detailing shop, another tire shop, another upholstery shop, another auto detailing shop. Oh, and a daycare.
Burrito stand.
I recognize this neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like I was like immediately at home. And my neighbors too. It was immediate. You know what I mean? Like as soon as I got in, it was like there was just like kind of an affinity for each other and kind of just like we all kind of recognize each other as being kind of part of the same tribe.
Sure.
You know. But yeah, most people are like they come and they live in Silver Lake or Los Feliz or, you know what I mean? Like they're not like I'm in Northeast LA. Like, I'm like in the barrio. You know. So
that's good. Yeah,
you gotta live below your means so you can save money.
Well, also, I mean, well, actually, you know what? Like, isn't real estate going up and rent and stuff in LA? I've been hearing like West Hollywood's getting crazy. Like, I've not, 4 years since I lived there, but like everyone's saying it's getting like super nutty in terms that the prices are so high, rent's getting so high. It's going to be like difficult for artists and struggling kind of people, actors, comedians, etc.
It is. I have a friend that. So you were here 4 years ago?
Yeah, 2013 is when I left.
I have a friend that lives in downtown LA, has a 2-bedroom apartment in a luxury apartment building, and he pays like $5,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown.
Jesus.
Like, I mean, it's just like, what? I mean, secondly, I was like, how much are you making, Daddy? Like, what's up? Like, I didn't know you had it like that. Shit. Like, I was like, but like, I mean, that's like just here, I was looking to get a studio in downtown. So I was like, well, maybe I want to move downtown. It'll be walkable, like a village. And I started looking at prices, and it was like just a studio in downtown was like 1,800, 2,000. And I was like, for a studio, it's like, what? Like you don't even get your own bedroom? Like it's just ridiculous.
No, it is. So, well, I mean, you could get. Because when I lived in London, I had to share with like 3 or 4 people, and I'd pay the same price for that sharing with that many people than you would for your own apartment in LA. And now it just seems to have gone crazy upward prices and stuff. It's just, I don't know how people.
Wait, so how much does it cost to live in London? Like how much does it cost for like a 1-bedroom apartment in a
when
decent
I
part
first
of town?
moved to London in 2004, my rent was £65 a week. So like $90, which was dirt cheap. And then it slowly climbed until about 2011 to like £1,100. So like $2,000 maybe.
A week or a month?
A month. But in LA, that was the same kind of, you'd be paying that for an entire apartment. And now it just seems, what I'm hearing from my other like comedian friends still out there and stuff, doing it, just saying the prices and rents are getting so crazy now that it's, I just don't know how you guys are going to cope if it just keeps carrying on like that. Apparently West Hollywood's gone. I know.
It's like something's going to give. It's kind of crazy because like there's all these homeless people in downtown. They got pushed out by gentrification. And then there were like all these big wildfires, and it was like because all these homeless people have been pushed out, and they were in these like tent cities, and they were making like these open fires for heat, and then it like caught the grasslands on fire and then it burned like all of the rich people's houses down. There's something very poetic about that. But I mean, that's like they're going to start seeing more and more problems like that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like this is kind of like this the outgrowth of this. Like I mean, when I see the Trump presidency and I look at downtown and I look at all these wealthy creatives that are living in downtown and they are exactly like Donald Trump, but they don't think they are. You know, and it's like they have no concern for like the way that they're impacting like the communities that they're going in and just absolutely obliterating. And it's like they don't bring up the value of the neighborhood because they push everyone that was there out, you know, and it's like they don't see themselves as part of the problem though.
Well, I think it's foreign investment because I was in Vancouver just before Christmas, and the same thing's happening in London too. You get lots of foreign investors from China or Dubai or the Middle East, and they're buying all these like very brand new apartment buildings, like 1-2 bedroom apartments that are like $1 million each. And they just leave them empty as an investment. And that's the other thing that's pushing all the real estate prices up in all the cities in the world.
Yeah.
Very wealthy people.
There's something like 2/3 of the buildings in downtown are unoccupied.
Yeah.
You know?
Same thing in London. There was these very glassy, beautiful skyscrapers with like hardly anyone in them. I think there's some crazy thing with like taxes, I think, in China. And a lot of people are kind of trying to invest out of the country for something to do with the government. Oh my God. We can't afford to live anymore.
I finished my soup. I did it.
Well done. You only took an hour. It's going to be cold by now.
It was like, but I finished it as... I was trying not to be this person, but I mean, I gotta
It's fine. You kept leaning out. I was like, oh, she's up to something. She's a porn star.
I'm masturbating and then coming back. Yes. Just I'm watching Pornhub on my phone and then coming back.
The room's rocking. So what are you... I was going to say, where are you... What's this next appointment you've got?
By the way.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said I'm pantsless right now.
Actually, so am I.
Oh, shit.
Are you literally going to go in the shower?
What?
Oh, my God. Well, you were in underwear, so well done.
Well, I didn't want to, like...
What a disgrace we are.
So I have to go soon.
No, that's fine. You can go. I was going to say, what's the big idea moving... to London? What's the plan behind that, really? Is it for comedy?
Well, I read this book, The Slight Edge. So this is my business plan. Is right now I'm just going to people and going like, I'm going to move to England. I'm going to do that in March. That's how the plan starts. I start asking people, do you know anyone in England that knows comedy clubs? That's the second prong of the plan. If I drop my plan 1.
I know some of them. Well, this is what I'll say about the comedy clubs. There's a very weird... This is the problem I've got when I came back, because I'm only starting comedy again after 3 years. When I came back 4 years ago, the struggle I had when I got back here, I thought, it'll be just like LA. You can just, you can like line up all your open mics and just get to them as soon as possible. You can just rinse the board and go through all these clubs throughout the week. That doesn't happen here. You have to find this like underground network of bars and clubs, and the actual real comedy clubs, I mean, you're a lot further down the line than this, so you might be okay. But there's a kind of slightly more, I think, snooty attitude in England, unless you're a brand.
Well, I mean, that's what I was hoping for, is that if I was like the porn star comedian or whatever, one of my ideas was to maybe write a one-woman show and do it around here a little bit and then send it over there and kind of be like, here's what I like, generate some buzz.
Oh, actually, you know what you can do? There's a place called the Soho Theatre. It's in the middle of Soho. I've performed there. My friend Ruben is actually there, I think, this and next week doing his one-man show. That's maybe the people to approach, because it's like a very prestigious place to be seen at. It's like the Soho Theatre. Lots of agents and things will go and see you.
So, this is how my plan is working. I said I'm removing there, and then like now look, I have a lead. You just give me a lead. I've been reading this self-help book called The Slight Edge. It actually has like turned my shit around in like a month. It's kind of crazy. I've become kind of a zealot about this book. It's actually been 2 months, but it's like it really has like turned everything around. So if you're struggling at all, like having a direction, like pick it up. You can read it in like 2 days. Like it's really simple shit.
That's me every day. Directionless.
Yeah, I read it. Read it. It's $10. You'll read it in 2 days. And it will change your life. I swear to God. But anyway, I'm not paid for anything to promote that. But but yeah. Like,
can't you get Marin or someone to put a good word into these clubs as well, though?
I'm working on a top secret mainstream thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really say more than that. I haven't really been doing stand-up because I've been working on that. I am doing stand-up this weekend in Fresno. I'm doing a couple shows.
Sure. How long's your show?
Huh?
How long is the show? Half an hour?
I'm just doing spots, so I'm just doing like 20, 30 minutes. Cool. But I have like an hour and a half. But I haven't written the one-woman show, but I can. But I told myself, you know, when this project is finished, if I can't sell it, which would be probably September, October, would be trying to sell it. I told myself if I can't sell it,
I'll put on a dress and I'll perform it.
I just was like, I need to do something with my life. I need to do something. And last time I felt like this was when I went to New York and I ended up doing adult. But I just told myself, if I don't sell this autumn, then I'm going to try to get out to London by like March, you know, when the weather's nice or nicer. And I'm going to try to do stand-up for 3 months and just see what the fuck I can make happen and just do something different. Like, I just need to do something. It's like I need to throw myself in the deep end of a pool and see what happens.
I'd probably say then April or May, because March, it was the snowiest on record. It was like snowstorms for like almost a month.
Oh, God.
So March in London is a no-no if you're from LA anyway.
Okay, so April. All right, cool. April, perfect.
End of April into May, around now, weather will be great. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like, I wanted to come for 3 or 6 months because I was like, how long is a visa? 3 to 6 months, like go in and just see what happens. If I could get stand-up gigs and get really strong as a comedian and come home,
sure,
that'd be great. Or maybe I'll do stuff there and maybe I'll get a job writing on TV there or some, you know, it's like, but I just felt like, I was like, it's time to do something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I just kind of, so I just was like, I've always been really into English comedy and British TV and stuff like that since I was little. Like, I was just, you know, like Stuart, like Charlie Brooker stuff, like Newswipe, Screenwipe, all that stuff, like watching that stuff and just feeling like it really resonating with me.
Did you get the Mighty Boosh in America?
Oh, I wish I could Huh?
Did you get the Mighty Boosh in America?
I didn't, but I watched it retroactively because I'm friends with Matt Berry. So it was I interviewed him when I was with God's Girls. I was still a writer and I interviewed him, and then we like stayed. We've been friends now for like 10, 11 years.
Sure.
Like we just like, I interviewed for that one thing. Then he came to New York for like a friend's bachelor party, like a few months later. And we like crossed paths. And then after that, we were just like friends. It was like every time that he's here, like working on stuff. So like, I'll see him like once every 2 years.
Okay.
And like, we keep in touch. But because of that, like, cause I'd interviewed him cause I'd watched Dark Place.
Oh, Goth Marie.
Someone had turned me on to Dark Place on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to interview that guy. He's so fucking funny. That video of...
And he's got the great voice like that.
Yeah, like a honey demon. But yeah, his like that one track Lover song. I just like saw that and I was like, this guy's a genius. And so I watched a lot of his stuff. That's how I watched the IT Crowd and stuff like that, was because I had a personal connection there. But for like the more just the more like the news stuff, like I said, like Screenwipe and Newswipe, just kind of, to me, because I felt like the Daily Show is so light, and that seemed to be so much more
darker.
It seemed like a much more like a precision kind of dissection.
Sure.
That I was really into, and I was like, oh, I wish I could write for something like that someday, but that will never be here. Like, that will never be on American television.
Yeah,
like,
come to London. We don't care. We're all debauched, disgusting people here. You'll fit right in. Nothing you've done will shock anyone here. Trust me.
That's so I'm told. That's the English guy I've been talking to. I've got warning signs because he's like, I don't judge anything.
We'll take you to the Fetish Club. You'll have a ball.
Well, it's like whenever a guy's like, I don't judge anything, I'm like, oh God, what are you into? It's like, if he doesn't judge, like, that's usually code for like, I'm into some really weird shit.
No, you know what it is? I think what it is, it's people usually kind of buttoned down who do a job that they don't really like, and they have to pretend to be someone else and dress like they would never dress in real life. And they're these like these pressure cookers of like issues and kind of neuroses and things. The normies are probably worse than the actual people who just put it all out there and are just open and honest and say, this is me. That's why I like people like that. It's just, what you get.
Oh, they are the worst. I was doing a custom video with a girl, and we were doing content trade for our websites, and she started talking about custom video requests that she got. And she was like, man, people think we're perverts. She's like, civilians are like the fucking worst. They're disgusting. And I was I was like, oh my God, they are. It's like they want the weirdest shit.
Exactly. Like, consumes all the content.
Yeah. Well, it's like we were doing content. We're like, oh, this is fun. It's like girls in a bubble bath. We're so fun. Because that's what porn stars do when they get to. They're like, let's just have sex, you know, like normal people. And then like, we got this custom request. Someone wants us to get a stamp book, light it on fire, and then piss it out. Okay, that's weird. I don't like, you know, it's like who thinks of this? Like where did that come from?
Probably an English guy as well. But anyway, Sovereign SYRE, you wonderful woman. Thank you so much for coming on.
Having me.
This has been a great chat. I like this. We should do this again.
Yeah, we should. We could do an exchange. I could have you on my podcast.
Okay, yeah. We'll discuss London.
And
I'll send you some links to this Soho Theatre as a kind of starting point to kind of reach out to them and go, what do you think? This is what I've done, and I want to do a one-woman show.
Oh, see? Like my business plan is impeccable.
Exactly. And they book you for a year's time, then you've got the pressure of writing the show, learning it and performing it, bring it up to performance level. So where can people find you? SovereignSYRE.net, that's your website. You've got a Patreon, of course, where people can send you some shekels, some bitcoins.
Yes, the Patreon is how I pay my bills. The Patreon and my OnlyFans. My OnlyFans is for like if you like porn. If you want my porn, you can go to onlyfans.com/SovereignSYRE and you subscribe there, monthly subscription. I update every day with fun stuff. If you don't want to contribute to that and you want to keep it all safe for work, I have a Patreon that's just for like my podcast, my stand-up, my articles. I have a character I'm doing now. Grown Up Bear. I post videos of Grown Up Bear there. So you can contribute to the Patreon, patreon.com/SovereignSYRE. So those are the two main ways. Like if you want to support, like if you want to do it safe for work, you can throw it that way. If you want to support both, you can throw it both ways. That's great too. And then like my Twitter is like where everything is like the most current. So Twitter is like whatever I'm doing, it'll be on Twitter. So my Twitter is
like
really
a bazillion
kind of,
Twitter
I'm
followers.
I have quite a significant amount. Yeah,
she's very followable, folks. Follow her.
Yes.
Where can people find your comedy dates if they want to see your? Where can people find your comedy dates if they want to see your? Oh my God.
On SovereignSYRE.net. Oh, see, my light fell and then your thing fell. SovereignSYRE.net is where that's where I keep all my stuff. SovereignSYRE.net, so they can just the podcast is there, the show dates are there, like everything's there. So yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, but like Twitter's my thing. I try to keep my Twitter safe for work, but sometimes you're going to see tits. So I just give that caveat. Occasionally, I post tits. I'm
currently banned on Facebook. Facebook is now so conservative, whereas on Twitter you can put actual porn on Twitter and no one bats an eyelid, which is really strange. But
well, no, I try to keep it safe for work because I don't want to lose my account. Like, because I'm a porn star, even if I do everything completely right, they could still just take it away just because. So Absolutely. I try to be like super fucking careful about anything I put there. But I like to try to tell people you can follow me on Twitter and it's safe for work. Like you're not going to get in trouble. You're never going to like open something up and see like a gaping vagina like while you're at work on your lunch break. Like
unlike my Twitter where you can see all that stuff because I don't care. Sovereign SYRE, you're amazing. I love you. We'll talk again. I'm going to send you some information on the Soho Theatre. Let's put your business plan into production. Basically, let's do it. I've been Ethan McKinley. You can find me at Ethan McKinley UK on Twitter, or you can find me at ethanmckinley.com, where you can find this show and many others. Have you had Buck Angel on your show?
I haven't yet, but I had Buck Angel on a live show that I did.
Okay. You already know each other. I was going to say you two should talk. You'd have a lot to talk about. He's great. He's one of my great friends.
I don't know how to even video this thing. Like, how do you record the
You need to download Ecamm Call Recorder, which is the official Skype call recorder. It's like $20.
And then you just, I could be like interviewing everybody.
You
all
could.
The time.
I will say this though, you need I would put a hard line in, like an Ethernet cable that goes into your laptop, because you kept turning to Lego a few times during the interview. But it's fine. Okay. So yeah, if you're doing it off just Wi-Fi, we lose you.
Okay.
But apart from that,
it's just so exciting.
It is exciting. I've had a great time.
Yes.
We did Trump, politics, porn, and comedy. Come on.
Yes. All right.
Over and out, folks. I love you all. Love you, Sovereign SYRE. And
all right.
We're done.
Bye, Ethan.
Awesome.
All right. Bye.